Hey everybody, Brandon here with Galloway Precision. Today we're going to go over the install of a new product we have that I'm really excited about, mostly because I actually like the little pistol it goes in. That is the RM380 reduced power spring set. Comes with a hammer spring, comes with a firing pin return spring. The RM380 is a great little pistol in its class. Love the platform. It does what a lot of the other ones have a hard time doing, in that it will fire just about anything you put in it. So first we're going to go over what tools we're going to need. You're going to need your polymer hammer. You're going to need your 1/16 punch. You're going to need a 1/8 inch punch. And most importantly, you're going to need a T7 Torx driver. T7, that's what size the grip panel screws are. And also a small Allen wrench is going to come in handy here in a second. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, like always, is go ahead and drop the magazine. Place it off to the side, rack the weapon, make sure that it's clear visually and physically. Alright, so it's clear. Alright, now the way that the RM380 breaks down, it has a blind pin setup. So as long as you line up your holes on the left side of the gun, you can flip it over and the takedown pin should drop right out. If it doesn't, that's where your little Allen wrench is going to come in handy. Just make sure the holes are lined up on the right side, press it down through, it'll pop the pin out. So we're going to take the slide off. We need the slide first, so we're going to set the frame aside for a second. So go ahead and remove your guide rod and recoil spring set. Now this recoil spring set is our increased recoil spring set that we're making. Yours will be brass plated, but these are on sale on the website now as well. Really mitigates the muzzle rise and felt recoil. Set that off to the side. Take our barrel out. Now we're ready to put in our firing pin return spring. Now, anyone who has a 1911 or a P938 or a P290 RS SIG, anyone familiar with backplate knows where we're about to go with this. Take your 1/8 inch punch, turn your side sideways like this. Make sure as soon as you press down, because this firing pin's under a lot of spring pressure, go ahead and push in on the firing pin. Keep your thumb over the rear and go ahead and move your back plate. Now I'm going to show you. You see how I've moved the back plate some? If you don't keep your thumb over the rear of this and just pull the plate off, your firing pin's going to come shooting out. So again, can't stress enough, keep your thumb over the rear. Go ahead and pull the plate the rest of the way out. Alright, so there's your back plate. I'm going to set it off to the side for a second. Now just ease up on the firing pin. That spring is under a lot of tension. Yours is going to be brass plated. This is actually our spring. I had needed to put the set in, obviously, for testing. So we're going to take our firing pin spring off, set it off to the side. We're going to open our little goodie bag. Take our firing pin, place the spring on it, place it all back in. Now, take your back plate, which backwards and upside down L, it's going to go to the left side of the slide. The rounded edge is going to go down and facing you. It's important to remember that. So we're going to set it in right there. Go ahead and depress your firing pin. Push forward on the back plate at the same time. Now, sometimes the back plate doesn't want to cooperate. Make sure you keep it in place, because if you don't, your firing pin is going to come flying out at you. Push it forward, it's going to lock in just like that. Alright, once it's locked in, that's it. We're done with the slide. I'm going to go ahead and put the barrel in, guide rod and recoil springs. We're going to set the slide off to the side. Now we're going to get started on the frame. Notice both grip panels come off. There's no need to take off the left side, and I'm going to show you why when we break it open. So flip it over. We're going to start with the right grip panel first. There's no set order in taking these screws out. It doesn't matter which ones you take out first, last, second, third, doesn't really matter. Alright, now a word on the tool itself. If you don't have a T7 Torx in your kit or in your tools, you can go to Sears and pick up this Craftsman set for about $15. It comes with 3 Torx drivers, 3 Phillips head, and 3 flathead. And I like it for the simple fact that it spins. So to keep from stripping these screws out, which torque screws are real prone to do anyway, you can actually push down, give it the right pressure from the top while you twist at the same time. Alright, so now we've got our screws out. We're going to take our plate off. And you can see you've got the V cut out, which matches your trigger return spring. And you've got the molded part here with the hole in it that's going to match up to the trigger pivot pin. So the first thing we're going to do is place our thumb over the spring and remove the trigger bar and then the spring. Set our trigger bar off to the side. Now it's very important, it's going to be hard to see in the video here, but you're going to have little divots in this spring on both ends, and it may make it a little bit hard if you're trying to pull this out. Make sure you just pull it straight up. Don't yank on it, don't pull it to one side, because you can bend this trigger return spring, and I don't know if Remington's selling these yet. Notice how it's brass coated. All your stock springs are going to be that way. We're going to pull out the trigger and the pivot pin just so we don't dump them over here in a second and lose them. Definitely don't want to lose those. Alright, now we've got your hammer pin, hammer strut. You'll be able to see, it's going to be hard to see in the video, but you'll be able to see your hammer cup, which goes into the hammer spring down to here where we've got the hammer spring retainer is held in place by this pin. Now your retainer is going to be plastic. This retainer is stainless steel. It's one we're working on. It's a prototype. Alright, you're going to push in and turn your frame on its side. And that pin should just drop right on out. Now if it does, see, important to keep the pressure on because it'll shoot your retaining, your hammer spring retainer right off. But if it doesn't drop out, just tap it on your bench block or your roll of tape that you're using, or have someone just tap it with the hammer for you. So now we're going to turn it upside down, and what should come out, what ended up coming out the other side, will be your hammer spring and hammer cup. I'm going to remove the old spring again. Yours will be brass coated. Set it off in our parts bin. I'm going to open our other little goodie bag. Take our hammer spring, put our cup in. Alright, now you see your hammer is going to move freely. So you want to make sure when you put it in that the hammer cup lines up with the strut. If you're not paying attention, it can get up behind it, and then you end up going to put it in, and you're like, wait, there's no tension. So make sure we're all lined up. Go ahead and set it up on your block, or your roll of tape, whichever you have. Take your retaining pin, your hammer spring retainer, and the pin that holds it in place. Just set the pin in. Don't push it in all the way. See how it's pushing on the spring? It'll bind it up. Alright, so set that in. I'm going to do this left-handed. You can do it right-handed, you can do it however you want, but I'm going to do it so you can see what I'm doing. Push it in, and then just push the pin in. And that's it. It's set. Alright, so now we're going to put our insides back together. Now you'll know you've got it in place correctly. Don't sit here and do this a bunch. You will beat up excuse me, the frame and the hammer. So I'm just doing that to illustrate that even with our reduced spring in there, you got a lot of force going on. Good big hammer to go too. Alright, so we're going to take our pivot pin, our trigger pivot, place it in, put our trigger on. Next we're going to put the trigger bar, making sure that we seat the trigger bar on the trigger itself first. On the camming end, you'll have a little nub that lines up on, goes on there. Now I like to do it this way just because it'll keep the hammer, or correction, the trigger bar from flinging out too. I seat the spring in the rear and the trigger bar, and then I hold it in the front, and then just compress the spring to the hole, set it inside. Alright, that's done. Now we're going to put our side plate back on, just like that. Now we're going to put our screws back in. Alright, so our screws are all back in. All you need to do is hand snug these. You don't need to over tighten them. There's no reason for that. Remington's going to be making other side plates for the grips, and I'm sure other companies will be too. So you want to be able to change them out. Alright, we're going to take our slide, put it on. Now this is of important note right here. Don't just stick this on like this. Notice the barrel is flush with the slide. If you go and put your pin in, it's not going to line up in the barrel lug. You're going to lock up the gun, then you got to beat that thing out. So what I like to do is, as I'm pushing it on, push down on the barrel. Alright, see how it sticks out of the slide the way it should? You'll be able to line up your barrel lug. And drop that on in there. Wiggle it around. And the pin will drop in. If it doesn't drop in all the way, just give it a little push in, and it's there. Alright, so now we're going to function check. Go ahead, rack it to the rear, hold the trigger, let it out. You'll feel and hear the click. And that's it. You have installed the reduced power spring kit. Really smooths out the trigger. When this comes to you stock, it has a 9-pound trigger in it. Ours is going to drop it down. Our spring set drops it down to about the 7.5 range. Makes it a much smoother and much quicker reset on the trigger. Honestly, it's a great little gun. Like it. If you haven't had a chance to shoot this and you're hung up on the debacle that was the R51, swipe that gun out of your mind. Give this little guy a try. If you know someone that owns one, see if they'll let you shoot it. Really makes a difference. We're also working on, this is just the prototype right now, hence all the extra holes, but I'm working on a compact holster using the Ulti-Clip, of course, which is really going to make this a fun little carry gun right here. I should start having these in production over the next week or two. Look for them on the website by probably the beginning of May. The spring kit and the recoil spring are up on the site right now. Right about now, the links will be flowing across the bottom of the screen. Definitely go to www.gallowayprecision.com, pick up your set, and like I said, be on the lookout for the holster. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest even. I'm still kind of figuring that one out, so bear with me on Pinterest. And throw us a like, let us know what you guys want to see product wise. That's where we get most of the stuff we work on is the customer. We wouldn't be here without you guys. Alright, so thanks for stopping by. This is Brandon signing off. As usual, be safe, be accurate, and God bless.